Hello, I would like to welcome our panelists and also send a warm welcome and a thank you to all the people from around the world attending this session on seaweed as the economic growth factor for the Mediterranean basin. My name is Georgios Paximadis and I work for the aquaculture team of the General Fisheries Commission for the Mediterranean of the F.A.O. And today we will be discussing how can seaweed farming foster regional economic development in the Mediterranean region. As we heard from Mr. Baranj in his keynote speech, seaweed farming in the Mediterranean has a great potential as a nature-based solution, both towards livelihoods, but also food security and the benefits it brings to biodiversity. But its production and its processing still have a long way to go, and it does need to be promoted and advanced. So on that point, and without further ado, I will start with Mr. Mounir Boulkout, CEO of Selt Marine Group from Tunisia. And by the way, all the bios of our panelists are online at the Seaweed Around the Clock website, so you can check them out. So Mounir, let's start by discussing and asking you, as a producer and a processor, what are the challenges and the opportunities that a company like yours engaging in seaweed production and processing is facing?
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Georgios, for this introduction. For the challenge for the seaweed production, the most important thing is controlling the raw material and increasing the seaweed production in Africa and in Europe. That is the first point, very important, and controlling the production in the good area, the good place. And for that, we have to extend with discussion with the state to increase this capacity of production. And that, for me, is the first key. The second, about the challenge, is about regulation, about e-numbers. Today, the most important use for the seaweed production is ingredient and texturing agent, is agar-agar, carrageenan, alginate that we produce. And for that, you have e-numbers. And today, the consumer has the problem with the e-numbers because they didn't understand the difference, and it's normal, between E202 and E401 or E406. Or you have E202 that is a coloring agent and a problem of toxicity for the human body. And the E06 is agar-agar that is very well known by the vegetarian people for all around the world and very good for the health. And knowing like that. And that is linking about the EU regulation that didn't make the difference for the consumer. The consumer don't want e-numbers. The industrial follow the consumer and the distributor also, and that is the impact about the use, about the seaweed production, and it's a mass impact because more than 90% of the use of the seaweeds is linking to the ingredient and not directly for use to consume, to eat. And that is the most important impact. That's why we have to discuss with the EU regulation to maybe change or to make a modification about this e-numbers for this natural ingredient. And that is the most important for the selling this texturing product.
2 minutes.
And about the opportunities, like I tell you, after the COVID, all the people, all the consumers would like natural ingredient, natural product. They want to change their life. They would like to go to the campaign. They would like, make attention to their body and to their health, and that is good because definitively seaweed production has a good impact for the health. We know by the experience that in Japan, in many towns in Japan, that they use and they eat for many decades seaweed, that these people are in the good health where they are old. And that we know that now by the experience, by empirical. That's why now we know also, because we enter now in metabolism, in the metabolism of the seaweed, that there are many antioxidants inside, that this antioxidant is very good for the health by the lipid, by their polyol that they are inside, and all this metabolite is good against virus and against bacterial problem, and that is a good impact for the health.
Okay, thank you very much. So raw material importance, what it means to the consumer as far as a challenge regarding the regulation and the numbers, and of course the opportunities regarding health. Thank you. So I will move on to Sergi Tudela, who is the Director General for Maritime Policy and Sustainable Fisheries of the government of Catalonia. And starting with the question of what role do you think that seaweed production and processing can actually play within the maritime strategy of Catalonia?
Yes, good morning, bon dia from Barcelona and Catalonia. Good morning, Georgios, by the way. Okay, so we understand that there is a twofold role for seaweed in the framework of our maritime strategy. As you said, we launched a maritime strategy back in 2018, aimed at the full development of the different sectors of our blue economy. And in our maritime strategy, we already include several lines along the support of the innovation and diversification in the aquaculture industry as one of the pillars for this blue economy, right? And it explicitly calls on promoting macro and micro algae and multi-trophic aquaculture, right? So actually we are focusing on innovation, going beyond the usual type of cultures in aquaculture. And of course, micro and seaweed, macro and micro algae are already identified as a line for the future. But on the other hand, our strategy also calls on developing another emerging sector, which is blue biotechnology, right? Which is also well identified by the European Commission in the whole of Europe as one of the emerging sectors of the blue economy, of the sustainable blue economy sector, right? And we understand that this is strongly related, or it could be strongly related to the use of algae. So in some sort, algae can also be a driver for the development of blue biotech here in Catalonia. And actually, this would be a sort of a two-way positive feedback, right? And actually, we already have good examples. We already have, in this particular case, linked to micro algae. We have, some developments, for example, of industries, business that are already working on the extraction of pigments or other active principles, right? So we understand that this is a way forward as well for seaweed. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Sergi. Great to see that micro and macro algae production, it has indeed a role in the strategy of Catalonia, and that it also moves into the blue biotech sector. So I will continue with Mr. Claudio Fuentes Grünewald from the King Abdullah University of Science and Technology from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and address a twofold welcome, one for him being here, and the second for Saudi Arabia becoming a new cooperating party of the General Fisheries Commission of the Mediterranean. So Claudio, I would like to discuss with you, we all know that Saudi Arabia has a very ambitious green development strategy. And I would like to ask you to share with us what the role of seaweed is within that strategy.
All right, thank you very much, Georgios, and good morning to the whole audience around the world. And yes, the Kingdom has a really ambitious project for micro and macro algae. The main aim of the project right now is all about food security, right? These align with the Saudi Green Initiative, but also the Vision 2030. And they had found that algae has an important role in order to fulfill that requirement of not to rely on the importation of raw material for feed for animals. So that is why now at CAUS, at the King Abdullah University of Science and Technology, we are developing a project funded by the Ministry of Energy, Water and Agriculture that is called Development of Algal Biotechnology in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. So as I said previously, the main aim is try to produce the raw material by using algae for animals, feed, especially fish and poultry. In order to do that, basically what we are doing here is to, first of all, to design, build, and construct and algae facilities here at CAUS. We are currently finishing the phase 1, which is a pilot project, 1,000 square meter. And also we are starting the construction of the phase 2, which is 4 hectares. We will include microalgae and macroalgae of those one in those areas. And the kingdom as a whole, it will use this this project in order to provide the numbers to make the feasibility studies of the algal biotechnology in the kingdom. Regarding seaweed itself, we are targeting 3 species of seaweed. Those 3 species are located in the Red Sea, and we're going to use mainly for different purposes. We're going to use ulva for bioremediation and for also for extraction of carbohydrate and some specific metabolites such as ulvan. Also, we're going to use sargassum, which is a really common algae seaweed in here. There is several forests all around the Red Sea coast. And that brown algae, we will use specifically for carbohydrate fraction, but also for the production of biostimulant for plants. And finally, we will use Laurentia, which is a red seaweed that we're going to use for a specific food application, but also for the extraction of a specific metabolite, really interesting with a lot of bioactivity. Right, the way that we're going to do basically is in cows, we're going to test in oligotrophic environment, where the Red Sea is a really oligotrophic environment, but also we're going to test the production and the bioremediation capacity of this algae in NACWA, which is the biggest shrimp aquaculture producer company in this country. So we're going to test in both sides how the algae behave and how the algae grow and the bioremediation capacity. Also, I have to highlight that there is a really ambitious program as well in the NEOM region. In the new region, in NEOM, what they want to do, they want to establish over 600 hectares of seaweed production, basically for bioremediation, and they will targeting exactly the same algae as us. So there is a common effort between the government, private companies, and different entities in order to move ahead and to put the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia as a world leader in microalgae and seaweed production.
Thank you very much. Very exciting and interesting. I will move on with Houssam Hamza, the Aquaculture Officer of the GFCM, and trying to get a bit of the wider perspective regarding the aquaculture of seaweed in the Mediterranean. What role do you see seaweed playing in the development of a sustainable aquaculture in the Mediterranean?
Thank you very much, dear Georgios. I would like just to inform you that I had this early morning a challenge with Mounir. We agreed to use only product coming from seaweed. So I bring a pen or pencil from seaweed, and he have a bottle. It's not a plastic bottle that he is using for now. It's for bioplastic from his farm in the lagoon of Bizerte. So having said that, regarding the seaweed in the Med, you know that it's an early, or we don't produce a lot. We produce around 200 tons between Tunisia and Morocco, and I hope so soon, as Sergi said, in Catalonia in Spain. However, we are aware about the importance of seaweed. You know that for F.A.O. at least, seaweed are farmed blue food, so they play an important role in the blue transformation initiative, as Manuel introduced, and also toward the sustainable aquaculture intensification. For EU also, because EU is a member of the GFCM, seaweed are an important source of alternative protein, so it's a strategic also species. Also, we'd like to stress that it's included in the farm to fork strategy of the EU and also the Green Deal. So it's important also to underline that. And finally, seaweed cultivation also can contribute toward achievement of several targets of the United Nations Sustainable Goals as SDGs. So if we have the surge of seaweed in the public scene in the Med, it's normal because we are consuming more and more seaweed, and we want to produce in the Med also more and more seaweed, because seaweed have an important social role, as you may know, but we want for seaweed to be like an ambassador of sustainable aquaculture. We are working on GFCM, and you take part of that, Georgios. We are working a lot on nature-based solution, and seaweed like sea urchin or sea cucumber are pretty interesting candidate to present the ecosystem services of aquaculture. So the role of seaweed, to come back to your question, are important at economic level, at social level, at governance level, because we will try to allocate area dedicated to seaweed farming and also providing oxygen, providing also many others, playing like a nursery area in our sea in the Mediterranean and Black Sea, and also in other area, as you said, that Saudi Arabia joined the GFCM as cooperating non-contracting party. So welcome again to KSA, to the big family of the GFCM. Over to you, Georgios.
Thank you, Houssam. And Mounir, based on what Houssam just mentioned regarding the need for seaweed production to take off in the Mediterranean, as a producer, what do you think that the necessary conditions for the supply, both from the supply and the demand side of seaweed production, are? What's needed for production to start taking off and to realize all this potential?
Well, when I have begun 25 years ago, make a production in Mediterranean Sea could be a big event. I have begun the demand in 1996 in Tunisia, and I obtained the agreement many years after. Today, it's more easy. There is a place in Morocco, in Tunisia, we begin, but there is a space now that you could, if you are young and you begin, a place to make 1 hectare production, 2 hectares, 10 hectares, 20 hectares, it depends about your size. That is possible today. That is something that for me, 25 years ago, would be impossible due to the philosophy that they see the cultivation of the seaweed. For them, seaweed is a bad impact, is not good for the health. There is a bad image and bad impact for the macro production, macro seaweed production. Today they change. That is the first things. The philosophy and the spirit of the people in the minister change in the south of Mediterranean, and I'm very happy to see that in Catalonia with the event a few weeks ago done, and also now with the intention is very clear that Catalonia is an advance in the north of Mediterranean, and for that we have to support that, and maybe tomorrow we can see and exchange about this possibility also in this place. But today, for the young people, is something fantastic, and that's why I push them to enter in this field, because it's the future. Okay, it's the future, good impact for the environment, and like Hamza talked, production of protein, sugar, and also other metabolites that we can extract from the seaweed. For the other part, we can talk about now the globalization also is different. 25 years ago, like I tell you, people would like to produce in China, in Indonesia, in Philippines to import in Europe. Today, the container and the logistic, you have $2,000 or the one container 25 years ago until 3 years ago, and today is $15,000 when you have container. That's why now to import seaweed, to process it or to use it, it could be really complicated. Not impossible, but really complicated. That's why now there's globalization change, and it's good for the Mediterranean production, because now we talk about continental European, we talk Mediterranean is continental, the south and the north. Is different that we talked before, and that is very good now also to produce locally in Mediterranean for the dairy, the meat industry, the bakery, for the food industry. That is the customer of today and for tomorrow, and that today the people, thanks to the impact positive for production, because when you produce you are obliged to import raw material, the bad impact for the CO2 when you bring this container from far, But today, if you produce locally and you make locally a production for Spanish market, for North African market, for French market, that they come from the Mediterranean Sea, it could be an opportunity that is fantastic. That's why we have to push in this way. We are very close because there is a company in Spanish for the processing seaweed, Hamza. There is us that we are here in Tunisia, and we hope that many others in our field, but the other field also push in the area, like also in the Middle East tomorrow.
Thank you. That's really interesting, and what you also mentioned regarding the governance part and the need for political will to support seaweed production. And with that, I will go to Sergi on the political will side, and his position as Director General for Maritime Policy and Fisheries. So how do you envision that seaweed can contribute to the economic development of Catalonia, given that we heard that you do have the political will to go ahead with this? So how do you think it could contribute to the economy of Catalonia?
Yes, thank you, Georgios. Yes, absolutely. As I will always say, right, Catalonia is one of Europe's more maritime economies, right? More based on the sea, right? Actually, we know that over 3% of our gross value added comes from the sea, and same for employment, with more than 5% of employment in Catalonia coming from blue sectors, right? And among these blue sectors, we know that sectors based on natural resources, natural living resources, account for approximately between 1/3 and 1/2 of total Catalan blue economy, excluding tourism, right? So we understand that this is the way forward to develop our blue economy, and we are engineering our resources, our own funding, and also funding from Europe, the European Maritime Fisheries Fund and the F.A.O right now, from next year on, to further develop these promising new emerging sectors like seaweed, like algae, aquaculture, right? Actually, and it has already been mentioned, right? In 1 month ago, barely, we held a very promising workshop together with F.A.O. GFCM. We organized this workshop aimed at business and entrepreneurs. It was not just as talking about how it could happen, because we understand that technologically the technology is there, right? And we understood it was already time to gather people from the business sector already interested to do something innovative, something different. And the result or the outcome of these workshop was extremely positive. Now I can say we already have, right now as I speak, we have 2 case studies, 2 pilot trials going on every end of Catalonia, one in the north, close to the border with France, and another in the south, in the area of the delta of the Ebro River, right? Because we commissioned a study about what areas would be the most suitable for these developments, and one of them was clearly pointed out as the Ebro of the delta of the Ebro River, right? So we are very optimistic, and then we understand that we have a good atmosphere here related to the fine food sector. You know that Catalonia is one of Europe's capital of gastronomy. We already have a local institution working with a chef, high-level chef, to introduce algae in local cuisine, right? And we understand that the fine food sector, so high-end gastronomy, could be a good option to start with.
Thank you. Really interesting and exciting. And on the note exactly of future plans and activities, moving on to Claudio. Claudio, could you please tell us a bit more about all the fascinating things that are happening now in KSA and what your future plans are in some more detail?
Yes, of course, Georgios. The first what we are doing now, and it's a mandate from the government, is to establish the alga biotechnology, because so far in this country, only a few companies that produce other kind of seafood like shrimp or fish, they use algae for their hatchery. So once the government wants is basically try to use this technology not only to supply protein and lipid for feed for animals, but also to try to get CO2 capture, biological capture by using algae. So we know that a key element here is to train the people. So capacity building is a key step for us. And that is why currently there is a Saudi science team that they're getting a training in southern Chile with one of the top guy in terms of seaweed production, Dr. Alejandro Bushman. So they are in training now, and we are training the first generation of algae farming in KSA. This is one thing. Then there is a massive effort, not only from the government, but also, as I highlighted before, from the industry, in order to use a microalgae for different purposes. And that is why in our project, the development of algal biotechnology in the kingdom, we are building facilities in cows, but also in Nagua, and potentially later on we're gonna extend this to neon. The idea would be by 2025 we can start producing and be in the statistics of F.A.O. in terms of seaweed production and microalgae production. So it's a really ambitious, but everyone knows that this place, especially for both for micro and macroalgae, KSA is one of the best spots in the world because we have plenty of flat land, we have infrastructure, we have CO2 sources, we have a really pristine Red Sea water. So there are several advantages in order to set up this kind of technology in this country. We are transferring technology from Europe mainly, and we're going to start the production in our phase 1 and our phase 2 of our project quite soon. So we hope by the end of 2023 we will be producing several tons of microalgae and also several tons of seaweed too. So it is doable. It is doable. We can make it, and we need to face some challenge because of this massive amount of energy, sand that we have in this country. We need to deal with evaporation, with salinity increase, with all this kind of threat. But we truly believe that we can make it, and we're gonna. We hope that the KSA will be one of the leaders in terms of micro and macroalgae production in the coming years.
Thank you very much. And I understand you're also planning to organize in December something, an event on.
Yes, good point, good to know. Yes, so I would like to invite to all seaweed and microalgae audience to a workshop that we are organizing in agreement with F.A.O. For this December the 7th and the 8th, just before of the Algae Europe, 1 week before. So an invitation to everyone who wants to come here to see what we are doing, to see facilities in Nagua, to see facilities in cows, and at that time we're going to be producing, and it's, I think, a really good opportunity for even for investors to attract them to this country, because there is a massive opportunity in the algae technology sector. So all welcome to come in December 7th and the 8th for the workshop, algae workshop, F.A.O. workshop, and cows workshop. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that. I would like to go back to Mounir and ask a question about, we know that seaweed is way better than trees to capture carbon, but how come Ocean 50 did not manage to give a global formula to carbon capture? I think you're frozen. So I will just go to Sergi with a different one until we have Mounir back on how do you actually perceive the value chain for seaweed, so that indeed local societies and local communities, in your case in Catalonia, but in general as well in the Mediterranean, can actually receive the value from seaweed farming and processing?
Yes, thank you, Georgios, for the question. Yes, we understand it's important to link these local developments on seaweed aquaculture to local communities as well, right? So for the time being, we understand that it's important to start as a complement or as a sort of diversification from other types of small-scale aquaculture. And for example, the two trials we are on which we are working at this moment, one of them, for example, is linked to a small-scale, traditional small-scale mussel producers in the Ebro Delta. For them, it's easy to adapt their facilities to do seaweed farming. So we are starting with them, right? So this is really local investors. This is really small-scale aquaculture, right? And in the north, it's a local fisheries association, right? They are managing fishery in a fishing port, right? That they were already doing some small-scale finfish aquaculture as a complement of fishing, right? So for them, it's a step forward to say, okay, why not trying with seaweed as well as a complement of our fishing activity, right? So we understand that this is a good way to involve from the start the local communities, the local producers, and we have good tools as well. You know that in the European framework we have these flags, these fisheries local action groups that they manage their some slice of the pie of the EMFF funding pie, right? So and the good thing is that we are trying right now to engineer some projects with co-financed by EMFF and our own funding for these guys to develop this trial. So we understand that this is the way from the start that local populations understand that this is a natural way to diversify their blue economy, right?
Thank you very much, Sergi. Going back to Houssam regarding again a bigger question, but still that relates to the previous one, is beyond economic development, which is what we're discussing today and we've been hearing mostly. How can seaweed contribute to food security in our region, in the Mediterranean?
Thank you, Georgios. The question is very important because I'm reading also the chat and we have some questions going in the same direction. Food security, if we come back to the definition, is also what we are importing. Ekaterina stressed that what KSA is importing in terms of seaweed because they process a lot of seaweed in KSA, but the same in Tunisia, the same in Morocco, I think the same in Spain, and now we are thinking why we start to work a lot on seaweed, because we need to secure the seaweed supply. You know that the price of imported seaweed are rising. Also, we have some challenges with transportation, with shipping, especially during this period for COVID and other also crises. So we need to secure a minimum production in our area, and I think we have enough. To come back to the question in the chat, we have enough resources and possibility and opportunity. Now the growth rate, as I remember, in Tunisia and Lagoon of Bizerte was around 5%. So we're in a cycle for Gracilaria between 45 to 60 days. So the growth rate is quite amazing for Gracilaria there, and it provides social, for sure, economic benefit, but also it secure a supply for the industry working on seaweed processing in the area. Same also, as I said, for Saudi Arabia, same for Morocco, same for Spain. We need to secure in the Mediterranean area a minimum quantity to be produced and then process it. And we need also to have different layers of transformation, production and transformation. We need to create at local level production centers or production unit, but also processing, because you will optimize not only the economic, but also the social aspect. Let me just introduce, before giving you the floor, the importance of governance. We have a lot of things to improve in the governance of seaweed. Allocated zone for aquaculture are important. Dedicating specific area for seaweed need to be included in the development plan of our country. Hopefully GFCM have a mandate of aquaculture for GFCM. We have a mandate for fisheries, but also a mandate on aquaculture. So we will discuss next week in Morocco in the Scientific Committee of Aquaculture new aspect related and regulation regarding the seaweed. Also, let me come back to what Claudio introduced. The GFCM of F.A.O is organizing with KSA a workshop the 7th and the 8th of December in Jeddah, and it will be an opportunity to share experiences and also best practices, lesson learned regarding seaweed and micro and macro algae. But it will be also an opportunity to have a common strategy or approach to the seaweed development in the region. Over to you, Georgios.
Thank you. And staying with the value chain and the local societies, or going back to it rather, on Mounir, I hope you're with us now and you can hear us, because before you were frozen. Could you tell us just a bit more in a couple of minutes, because we don't have much time left and we will going on with a video. What actually a seaweed farm such as yours means for a local society? What is the impact on the people?
You let me 30 seconds?
Sorry?
You give me 30 seconds?
No, you have a couple of minutes.
Yeah, alors, one minute. I show you the best is in image. Okay, 1 second. Okay, now we are in the Laguna of Bizet that Mr. Houssam explain you where we are. We are in front of the Laguna of Bizet, where we have 80 hectares of concession given by the government 3 years ago. Now you have the table of drying that you see here. I don't know if you see well.
You need to lower a bit the screen, the computer. Okay.
Yes. See, yeah. Yes. You see the table of drying there? That today there is 45 people that they work in the multiplication of the seaweed, of the gracilaria, that they put in the sea. After that, they harvest them and they dry, like you see in the table of drying. And today there is approximately 50 people that they work, 10 young boys and 40 women that they have for them until 20 years old, until 50 years old, okay? And that today is the beginning of the seaweed farming in Tunisia. And we think that in 4-5 next years, we can arrive to 500 people. That is in Tunisia. We do the same in Zanzibar, in Mozambique, where now we have more than 1,000 hectares and we have more than 600 people that they work today in the seaweed farming. That is the social impact, and also they give to the people revenue, and in general is the women that they have this revenue today for the seaweed farming. I come back.
Thank you very much. These are the benefits of having live discussions like this. See with around the telephone, and thank you for sharing that image with us, because it does speak 1,000 words. At this point, I think we're running out of time, so I would like to thank you all for being here and sharing your opinions, your experiences, and your knowledge and your plans for the future. We will go on to a video from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia from Dr. Ali Al-Shiki, the Director General of the Director of Fisheries of KSA, and then close from there our Mediterranean session. So without further ado, I will thank you again and go to the video of Dr. Ali. Let me know if you can hear the sound.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Good day to all of our members. Very interesting subject, algae. Most of the country talk about algae. Most of the country started a lot of research, a lot of scientific knowledge behind this subject. We do believe there is a lot of ways to develop the algae. There is a lot of need worldwide. There is a lot of competition globally. And we do believe in Saudi Arabia that is one of the most important items we should focus in the future. A few years back, we set a roadmap according to our need, according to our competitive advantage in Saudi Arabia. Today, we started our collaboration between government, MIWA and KAUST as a research center. We have developed the pilot project, and we are planning to continue the commercial. Our need today, we focus our need develop the feed protein for the fisheries and livestock and poultry. And this, we do believe that it has a value according to our future need. We do believe there's most of countries working cosmetics and biofuel, bioplastic, and it has a role to develop this technology everywhere. Sharing the knowledge for developing algae, one of the key elements, we do believe that we can have it worldwide. Saudi Arabia willing to share, willing to cooperate, willing to distribute the knowledge for the algae. And within a few years, you will see the result of the advanced technology of biotechnology of algae in Saudi Arabia. Hope this one will start to build the collaboration between the countries, and we will gain shortly the advantage of each location, each country, and developing the algae worldwide to utilizing supporting the need of the world from in terms of environmental and food, feed, extra element for cosmetics especially. This will have a significant impact in the future of the nature of this planet. Thank you very much.
So that was the message from Dr. Ali. I would like to thank you again all for participating. Thank you to all the people out there for watching. I encourage everybody to stay and continue with the Seaweed around the clock as many more interesting sessions follow. And thank you to Seaweed First and to Biomarine for the invitation and for setting up this unique event. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye to everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.